You are over the target. You are authorized to fire at will.
Hello, howdy. Thanks for being here. It as you guys are watching this premiere, it is April 25th, 2025. 5 years to the day that we started this journey together, this show, um, this this platform, these platforms, um, Spotify, YouTube, Rumble, writing over on Substack now. It, the writing's a little bit of a different venture, but man, what a what a place to be 5 years into this, and at nearly at nearly 4,500 subscribers, which I know there are people out there like, dude, like that's nothing. Like it is compared to a lot of people, but for me, it's staggering. It's mind blowing, and I cannot thank all of you enough for what you have done. As you can see, I'm fully decked out. I've got the shiny silky Minnesota Black Robe Regiment sweatshirt, hoodie. I got the hat. This is the handmade hat. I've got these behind me. I've got the merch up here. I've got the books from events from Scott Horton, and I just, when I started this, I could not even believe that I was doing what I was doing, to be honest with you. And I wouldn't have imagined that I would be where I am today doing what I'm doing, and the changes that have come, to my life. You have a family, and kids grow up, and you expect that, that's coming. Like you kind of usher, like this is the whole thing, that you usher them along to grow up and move on with their lives to become um, productive adults, and however you want to define productive. But never in my life did I imagine that I would go through some of the turmoil and the hell that I've been through, for simply talking about my philosophical worldview and my beliefs. I didn't dream that I would be turned on by my employer when the very first day that I did this. Like 5 years ago today, I had an absolute blast going to a anti-lockdown rally. And it's where I began to discover that I wasn't just a traditional conservative, that I probably had always been a more paleo conservative, paleo libertarian. And I made friends that day that I still talk to. I also made friends that day that will no longer talk to me, um, because I don't toe the right approved, the politically approved line that I'm supposed to toe. And I get it. I understand. I do. I actually do. I really do understand. But all that aside, 5 years ago today, 5 freaking years ago, and like I wasn't even in my 50s at that point. Like technically, it was the year I turned 50, but I wasn't 50. I was still 49. Oh, and I'm damn near 55 now. I have 3 grandchildren. But here we are. This Minnesota Black Robe Regiment podcast, MBRR, media on YouTube and Twitter and X, Rumble, Spotify, Substack. I cannot thank you guys enough. I cannot thank the people who've stepped up to become channel members, both at Rumble and on YouTube. I cannot thank the Subscribe people enough. There's very few people left over there. It's kind of dwindling, but I'm still so incredibly thankful for all of you and what you've done. Show producer, shout out to IMAF from Subscribe, to honorary to the Angry Vet, who has just done a massive amount of gifting of membership and whatnot through this channel. And my anonymous, you know who you are. All of my guests that I've had in 5 years, I cannot thank you guys enough. The hate watchers, the FBI agents that I know watched my content because of the attack on me by the city of Albert Lea chief of police, J.D. Carlson, and city attorney Kelly Don Martinez. The BCA agents who watched my content because of Carlson and Kelly Don Martinez. Even Michelle Soldo, who is the private attorney that my former employer, the Olmsted County Sheriff's Office Sheriff Kevin Torgerson, hired at what could have only have been the cost of thousands upon thousands of dollars. In the fact that she sat down and watched hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of my content and interviewed people. I like, even thanks to them, you have provided some of the best content here. The Jody, who is the first viral for me interview that I had from what it was, the bent wrench in Fountain, 2,000 and some video views or views of that interview that I conducted with a GoPro in on location. I cannot thank all the guests enough. The frequent flyers that I've had on, and I've had on some huge names too in the world of dissident thought. Monica Perez, Ken Silva from U.S. Headline News. I know I'm saying that wrong. Scott Jensen, Spike Cohen, Clint Russell, Liberty Lockdown, Clint Russell, Dr. Michael Rechtenwald, presidential candidates like Mike Termott, gubernatorial candidates, other candidates for political office, people that have become friends that I have on my like they call me, people I would have never connected with. So all of you, people who have no aspirations to be anything other than friends. Thank you so much for all of it. I really do. And to show you how far how far we've come, we're gonna take a look at a video here. This was my very first interview ever, April 25th. We won't watch all of it, but we'll watch some of it. You guys will get a kick out of this. Now, if you would introduce yourself and tell me where you're from and why you're here and how you've been impacted by this entire ordeal.
Sure. My name's Christina Selmer. I'm from Prior Lake, Minnesota, and I own a small 7-chair hair studio in Savage, Minnesota. And we've been impacted. We were shut down on March 17th.
Okay.
And more than myself, but my stylists who rent from me, they're all independent contractors. And so we haven't been able to collect any unemployment. They haven't been able to get the PPP. So we really have been without any support in this whole thing.
Okay, so you said you have 7.
I have 7 chairs. I've got 9 stylists.
9 stylists, and they all rent space from you.
Correct.
Which makes them self-employed.
Yes.
Okay, and do they have the ability to go out and rent from other places, or do they all work strictly in your shop?
Well, no one. I mean, all the salons in the U.S. are shut down, so there's
Okay.
nowhere to go work. So
Um, how long have you owned your studio?
it will actually be 2 years, May 21st.
And before that, you did what?
I was a hairstylist.
Okay, and you worked in another
Yep,
studio?
I rented. I've been an independent contractor for 15, 16 years.
15 or 16 years. How much, and you don't have to give me exact numbers if you don't want to, but so you started doing this 2 years ago, bought your own storefront. Did you buy an existing one, or?
I'm leasing a space in
Leasing a space.
in the strip mall. Yeah.
Okay, and it had everything in place, and
No, I took out a small business loan to start my business.
Okay.
And I will say that with the president's help, I think with the SBA has taken care of part of my SBA loan for me through this, so that's been great. But who I lease from, they helped me out a little bit the first month, but now are expecting for their rent to be paid as well.
Okay. You personally invested money into this.
Correct.
You still have to pay the lease.
Yep.
You've gotten a little bit of help by way of relief, but you're missing a lot of income.
Oh yeah.
Every month.
Oh yeah.
And your
because
style.
I don't think it's fair to charge my stylists their
Right.
rent when they aren't making any income either.
Absolutely. And you're not eligible for unemployment.
Not as yet. They keep telling us that that's going to come through, but we haven't seen any unemployment.
And so it's been almost
6 weeks.
Almost
right?
6 weeks, yeah. So let's say 6 weeks. It's been 6 weeks since this has started, and you're living off of.
Well, my husband's in the restaurant business, so he's been unemployed as well. So we are living off of his unemployment.
Okay.
And deferring as many payments on things as we possibly can to make it through these couple of months.
Okay. Not hard or not easy.
Not easy, no.
Not easy at all. No. Are you out here today because you and you can be as honest or as guarded as you want? Are you out here today just because you don't like the governor and all you care about is screwing him over and making him look bad?
No, not at all. I mean, I think all of our leaders are doing the best that they can in these situations, but I do feel like my thoughts on it are, what is a couple more weeks of testing going to prove? What, everybody keeps talking about how, well, people can be asymptomatic. They can, but that's not going to go away. That's not going to go away in 2 weeks. That's not going to go away in a month.
That was me and my Rost. I did not show the introductory video. If you really want to scroll all the way down to the bottom of my videos to see stiff, uncomfortable TC do an intro video to a channel that no one had watched yet, feel free. I think by the time I got home at the end of that day, I had 5 or 10 subscribers, and I was tickled. I was just elated. And even hitting 100 was something. And I'm still like, I watch my subscriber count on a daily basis, and I'm thankful for every single one of them. But Christina was just amazing in, how well thought out she was in that. And, to this day, I wonder where she is. I wonder how she's doing. I wonder if she was able to manage that, the hell that are, commissar walls of the people's state of Marxisota, as I so quickly coined the phrase early on in the days of the show. I really wonder. I wonder where a lot of these people are. And I have talked to hundreds of people. I'm gonna. I don't want to say shift gears, but I'm gonna show you guys now the most recent live stream that I did, which was from the town hall meeting from here in the town that I live in, Spring Valley, Minnesota. And I want to introduce you to someone. He'll be actually making a semi-regular appearance on the platform. We're going to be doing some episodes called Mayoral Meanderings, and his name's Justin. I had him on when he ran for city council here almost 2 years ago now, and he ran for mayor this most recent election cycle, and he won. And he decided to do town halls. But we're going to take you to the town hall, and we're going to watch Justin's opening and listen to how he speaks here. So.
Guidelines, just to make this as productive as we can tonight.
You're going to need to make sure you have their attention.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay? I'll speak as loud as I can without being too
Obnoxious.
yeah. Thank you.
Always there to help.
Thank you for coming out tonight. I appreciate you showing up. It's a great turnout, twice as many as I expected. So I appreciate you coming out. It shows your dedication to our community and your willingness to see it improve. So thank you again. I'm also glad that John Doles agreed to take on this town hall with me. I appreciate him taking the time out of his busy day to do this. I do plan on doing this quarterly. And so if we can't get through everything tonight, we will revisit this topic again. We are only going to hold this meeting for 1 hour. At 8 o'clock, we're going to cut it off. We're going to call it done. So if you still have things you need to talk about, you can contact me directly, email, or in person. I'm happy to talk with you anytime. Or like I said, we can set up a second one if needed. There is no time limit. I'm not going to stop people from speaking. Say what you need to say. You're open to say whatever it is you need to say. I want to hear your opinion. We want to know what you're thinking. We want to know how you want to improve our community. I do ask that if you're able, please come to the podium. We are going to be recording the audio so that the other council members, if they wish, can listen to it. We specifically did not have the entire council here because we are not making decisions tonight. We are not making promises. We're just getting your feedback and your opinion. Let's see what else. And opinions can vary. The person sitting next to you may have a different opinion. I do ask that if you want to speak, you come up to the podium. All the conversations that could happen in the background are distracting. So please, the only person speaking is the one at the mic at the podium. Let's see what else. Oh, yeah. Please refrain from speaking about a specific individual, your neighbor, the guy down the street, the dog across the street. We need to make sure that these ordinances, if changed, are a benefit to the entire community, not you specifically. So it would be a value not to speak about any individual person.
This next part is really important. I want you to hear the words of someone who I am convinced actually cares.
And I do want to mention that we want to make sure that any changes are constitutional. Are they infringing on your rights, the rights of the community? Are they improving their lives, or are they restricting them more than we should?
So now I'm going to pull us forward, and to highlight just how far our country has fallen in response to the tyranny that we all lived through in 2020 into 2021 into 2022, and really kind of through 2023 and 2024, how bad it was. And many of the people that spoke were people that were absolutely resisted all of that. But in particular, I have one individual that has something very profoundly disturbing to say in response to something that I said, which was, I don't understand the need of law enforcement in Spring Valley to write tickets to people for parking on the street during a set number of hours from a certain date in the winter to another certain date in the spring. And this individual, his response to what I said about that tells you everything you need to know. And so we're gonna find that here.
Dave Foster, UMB. I want to expound a little bit of what Tom said about enforced ordinances. I've been involved in planning and zoning and city stuff. What you need to look at is I know it costs money, and that's why we don't enforce a lot of these junk ordinances and all that. City council, you need to start budgeting money every year, so you have money set aside, so you can do that. Because that's the only way it's gonna get done, is if you have the funds available, so you can follow through instead of just giving up at the end.
Thank you.
Can you turn around and charge the homeowner for some of those fees to enforce those? You can't?
Just one comment on looking at ordinances and how you write them and what you do, being I've been involved on that, is, yeah, I agree with Todd to some extent that it's your property, you have the right to do what you want. But you also have responsibility what you do on your property that affects the neighbor's property next to you and how they live on their property. So you have to have ordinances in place to control that. Otherwise, you're gonna get a neighbor over here that just doesn't give a rip about what they're doing in the neighborhood and affecting these people. So that's why you need ordinances to control things like chickens and things like that. So, and lawn mowing.
And weeds.
And dandelion.
I would just like to thank you for the meeting and say that Spring Valley has many, many ordinances on the books. I'm an ex-councilman from 30 years ago.
Yeah, I'll stop you right there just for a moment. Since you were a previous council member, do you ever remember a town hall taking place?
We had
We
very
can adjust
open meetings and had crowds like this
Yeah.
every Monday night
For council meetings or just?
for council
just regular-
meetings.
Okay.
And anybody could speak their mind all night long.
Okay.
We had 4-hour meetings sometimes,
Wow.
but
Sorry to interrupt you.
We gotta tell Deb to get more comfortable chairs.
Couches and lazy boys.
lack of enforcement is the biggest problem I see. And comment on your snow comment on the December 75, 45 degree weather. That's the time to do it and train them. Tonight, when there's a foot of snow on the ground, is not time to monkey around giving them a ticket. Get them out of the way so we can plow the streets. If they're not trained, they will still be there. But lack of enforcement is the biggest problem I see for the town.
Thank you.
I'll make this quick. I believe in personal responsibility for everybody's property. And yes, I need to keep that in mind when I'm dealing with my neighbors. I absolutely 100% agree with that. Here's the problem with ordinances. It's not criminal. And that's not a problem. I'm actually for that. It's ultimately civil on most ordinances. Anything that rises to a criminal level falls in, basically outside of traffic tickets in town, really falls on, ultimately it comes down to the county. What most people do not understand about enforcing ordinances, mowing, snow removal, things like that, is that it ultimately opens the door to the city taking your property from you. That's how ordinances are enforced. You don't mow your yard one time, they can charge you for that. One time, they can charge you for that. And if you don't pay it, they can assess that to you. And if you don't pay that assessment, they can literally evict you from your own home down the road. Are you comfortable with that?
Well, you're responsible to take care of it.
But are you comfortable with your neighbor losing their property over not mowing the yard the way you want it mowed? They do. Minnesota is one of the worst states for enforcing that across the board. In fact, we've had lawsuits recently where Minnesota has actually started to lose because they're not handling it in a way that's decent. It's being directed at particular people while others are getting away with it. So I could point to a neighbor across the street who owns a property that used to be public school. Rarely mowed. I don't like it, but do I want them to lose that property? And I do believe that everybody has a right to have their property values secure. Absolutely agree with that. But also remember that property value has no determination on whether or not your house is sellable. Property value is arbitrarily determined by a tax assessor with very little to no training. And they walk by your house to determine how much your property is worth, not based on whether or not you're going to make that amount of money when you sell that property, but they're going to determine that your property is worth X number of dollars so that the city and the county and the school district can determine how much tax you pay to fund their projects. That's what property value does. That's all it's for. Before property taxes were in place, people still took care of their property. So yes, take care of your property. I do. I do take care of my property.
I just played that because what we're dealing with and what we've dealt with since the inception of my platform, and even before, is this long, slow trudge towards being governed. Harder and harder and harder. You know, we've, you know, euphemistically in certain circles we refer to, govern me harder, you know, daddy. Govern me harder, daddy. It's really, it's not a place we should want to be. It's really not a place we should want to be in. So I'm going to ask you guys to, you know, join me, if you will, in thinking about this for just a minute. Where are you in your life right now? Do you believe that you need to be told how to live your life? Do you believe that you need to have anybody at any level of the state, the city state, the school board state, the county state, the state or the federal state, do you really need oversight over your life every day? Do you need somebody to tell you to take care of your property? Do you need somebody to tell you to take care of your house? Do you need somebody to tell you that you need to, you know, clear your driveway and clear your sidewalk so you can get where you're going if there's snow, or, you know, if you don't live in a place where you have to deal with that, whatever the ordinances might be in your community, do you need that? Do you need somebody to tell you to stay home if you're sick? Do you need somebody to tell you that you shouldn't be, you know, intentionally infecting others with, you know, whatever it might be? See, every single one of us lives mostly in a volunteerist way. And I've said this multiple times. We don't need the state at any of her levels telling us when to get out of bed, when to eat dinner, when to eat breakfast, when to eat lunch, when to go to bed, when to use the bathroom. But when it comes to an overview of life, we feel like we have to hand off responsibility for how we conduct ourselves to the state. And what if just maybe, just maybe, we spent more of our time focusing on being good neighbors and less of our time focusing on being governed? There's a reality in which we'd all be a lot better off, ultimately, if we had far less involvement from people in elected or non-elected public servant positions. We'd be safer, we'd be wealthier, we'd be healthier, and we'd be far more free. I can't thank you guys enough for being part of this for the last 5 years. And I hope that whatever it is that we have coming at us over the next year to 2 years, that you'll stick with me, that you'll continue to ride this out. And I appreciate every single one of you, and I'm incredibly thankful for every subscriber and every channel member, every viewer, hate watchers, commentators, people who critique me, people who applaud me, people who come and say terrible, nasty things about me, people who threaten me, all of that. I'm thankful for all of you, because in one way, shape, or form or another, you're all contributing. Can't believe it's been 5 years. Would I change things to some degree or another? There's probably some places where I would change some stuff, yeah. But the brunt and the core of what this has been, no. I've made a lot of friends. Monica, who doesn't always agree with me because sometimes she thinks I have a potty mouth. She made this for me because she liked my tagline. And many of you are well aware of my tagline. So we're gonna say this together. Fight for your liberty. It is yours. Fight for your freedom. It belongs to you. Thank you for 5 years. Sic Semper. Tyrannus.
We are go for liftoff in T-30. Stand by for further instructions, Minnesota Black Room Regiment. Secondary guidance systems engaged. Minnesota Black Room Regiment, it will be on my mark. Minnesota Black Room Regiment, you are over the target. You are authorized to fire at will.